The cowboy's answer to "leave me here to die" was "never. You belong with me." The twin suns of Iridia. 9 burned bright over the canyon lands, their light bouncing off red cliffs and the endless dust that swirled in the wind. In the distance, a small ship, shaped like a stretched teardrop, crashed into the jagged canyon floor, kicking up a cloud of sand that glimmered in the sunlight. The canyon was quiet again except for the soft hum of alien insects hidden among the rocks and the occasional whisper of wind through the canyon walls. Jace Ryland had been riding his hoverbike across the desert, scanning the horizon for signs of his target, a rogue AI smuggler that had been evading the local authorities for months. Jace wasn't your average bounty hunter. He had the look of a cowboy from the old Earth legends. Dust-streaked coat, wide-brimmed hat, and a calm, steady stare that could make the boldest criminals think twice. But what really set him apart was his heart. He didn't hunt for greed. He hunted because it was the right thing to do. As he crested a dune, something unusual caught his eye. Among the jagged rocks he saw a small figure, slumped and motionless beside the broken remains of a transport ship. Jace slowed his hoverbike and landed carefully on the sand. Raising his eyes, he saw her, a young woman, her hair streaked with dust and sweat, eyes half closed, clearly exhausted. She was muttering something under her breath. "Leave me here to die." Jace's brow furrowed. He dismounted, keeping his voice calm and steady. "Hey, no one gets left here alone," he said. "You belong with me." She tried to move but winced from the pain in her ankle. "You don't understand. This place, it's too dangerous. You shouldn't—" "No," Jace interrupted, kneeling beside her and checking the injuries carefully. "You're not dying today. I don't care how impossible it seems. We'll get you out of here." Her name was Lyra, and she was an engineer transporting experimental technology across Iridia. 9 when her ship was attacked by an unknown force. The crash had left her stranded in this canyon, far from any help. Her voice was weak, and she kept glancing nervously at the canyon walls as if something might jump out at her. Jace helped her stand, wrapping her arm around his shoulder for support. "Can you walk?" he asked. I think so," she whispered, though she limped badly. "But the canyon, it's alive. The plants, they move."
"I saw them."
Jace raised an eyebrow. 9 was known for strange flora, but he had never seen them attack anyone. He stayed calm. "Then we'll move carefully, one step at a time." And so they began their journey. The canyon was narrow, and the path twisted between red cliffs that seemed to scrape the sky. Small pools of water shimmered in the sunlight, and strange plants with translucent leaves shifted as though sensing every movement. Jace kept an eye out, scanning the area while offering support to Lyra. Every few minutes she would stumble, and he would catch her, murmuring words of encouragement. "You're stronger than you think," he said. "Just a little further, and we'll find some shelter." Hours passed. The suns moved across the sky, casting long shadows that made the canyon seem even taller, even more intimidating. Lyra shared fragments of her story. She had grown up in a space colony far from Iridia. 9, learning engineering from her mother, a brilliant technician who believed in using technology for the good of others. The tech she carried was meant to help farmers and miners on distant planets, but someone wanted it for less noble purposes. They want to take it," she said, her voice trembling. "And if they get it, I don't know what will happen." Jace didn't speak at first. He let her words sink in. Then he placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll make sure they don't," he said. "I don't abandon people, Lyra. Not today, not ever." They moved carefully, hopping over small crevices and navigating around strange, glowing plants. Some of the flora reacted to their presence, shifting slightly, but Jace kept them away with clever movements, never harming them. Lyra began to feel a sense of trust in him, a small warmth that had nothing to do with the suns overhead. As evening fell, the canyon walls glowed pink and orange, and Jace spotted a natural cave set into the side of a cliff. "We'll rest here for the night," he said. "There's water inside, and it's safe." Inside the cave, the temperature dropped pleasantly. Jace carefully helped Lyra to a flat rock where she could sit. He found a small pool of water and filled their canteens. Lyra watched him work with quiet admiration. There was something about his calm confidence, his patience, and his kindness that made her feel safe for the first time in hours, or maybe days. "Why do you care so much?" she asked softly, staring at the water. "You barely know me," Jace shrugged, settling beside her. "Some things don't need an explanation."
"You're human. You need help."
"I don't leave people behind. That's just who I am." For a long moment, they were silent, listening to the wind outside the cave and the soft hum of the alien insects. Lyra felt tears prick her eyes, not from pain but from relief. For so long she had believed she was alone in the universe, and here was someone who refused to let her face it alone. Night fell, and the twin moons rose over the canyon. Their light shimmered across the rocks, painting them in silver and blue. Lyra finally allowed herself to rest, leaning against Jace's shoulder. He kept watch at the cave's entrance, alert for any danger, yet calm, never letting fear show. As the hours passed, Lyra whispered again, half in sleep, "Leave me, here to die." And Jace, never leaving her side, whispered back, "Never. You belong with me." By the time the first light of morning touched the canyon, the bond between them had formed. They were no longer just strangers thrown together by circumstance. They were partners in survival, bound by trust and courage. The day ahead would bring new challenges. The canyon stretched endlessly, and beyond it lay the outpost where they might find help. But for now, they moved carefully together, step by step, each trusting the other to keep them safe. Jace's mind worked even as they walked. He was already planning the route, thinking about the terrain, and imagining ways to avoid the dangers that might lie ahead. Lyra, for her part, began to feel a spark of hope she hadn't felt in a long time. For the first time, she believed that maybe, just maybe, she would survive. Hours later, the canyon opened to a ridge that overlooked a small valley. Jace paused, scanning the area. "That's our path," he said. "There's a creek down there, some shelter, and maybe someone to help us." Lyra looked at the valley below, feeling both excitement and fear. "Do you really think we'll make it?" Jace smiled, tipping his hat back slightly. "I don't think." "I know. Come on." Together they descended into the valley, the sun warming their backs and their spirits. The canyon, once a place of fear and uncertainty, now felt like the beginning of something new, an adventure neither of them had expected, but one they would face together. And as they walked, Lyra felt a sense of safety she hadn't felt in years, knowing that no matter what came next, someone was there for her, someone who would never leave her behind. "Never," Jace said again, almost to himself, as they moved forward. And with that, their journey truly began. The valley stretched before Jace and Lyra like a hidden jewel in the dusty desert of Iridia. 9. Small pools of water sparkled under the twin suns, and alien plants with translucent leaves swayed in the gentle breeze. Jace led the way carefully, scanning for any hazards. He had been across many planets, but Iridia? 9's canyons and valleys always had surprises. Sometimes beautiful, sometimes dangerous. "Do you see that?" Lyra asked, pointing toward a cluster of small buildings at the far end of the valley. "That's Haven. 3, Jace said. "It's an outpost for traders, engineers, and people looking for a fresh start. We should be safe there, at least for a while." Lyra's face relaxed for the first time since the crash. Safe sounds good. She tried to smile but winced again from her sore ankle. Jace knelt and examined it. "It's bruised, but you'll walk. We'll take it slow." He gently helped her forward, and they continued down the rocky slope. The closer they got, the more alive the valley seemed. Small hover carts zipped along narrow paths, carrying goods between the outpost buildings. Children ran and played near the water, and traders called to each other in many languages, both human and alien. It was a busy little world, full of color, noise, and life, so different from the empty canyon they had left behind. As they entered the outpost, several heads turned to look at them. Jace's cowboy look, long coat, hat, and confident stance, stood out, but he ignored the stares. Lyra, leaning slightly on his shoulder, moved carefully but kept her gaze forward. A woman stepped out of one of the buildings. She had short, spiky hair, bright eyes, and a friendly smile. "You two look like you've had a rough ride," she said. "Need help?" Jace nodded. "We do." "She's hurt," he said, gesturing to Lyra. The woman hurried over, helping Lyra to a small bench. "I'm Kira. Come on, let's get you cleaned up. You'll feel better." Lyra relaxed as Kira treated her ankle, cleaning the dirt and wrapping it carefully. "Thank you," she said softly. "No problem," Kira said. "It's what we do here. Everyone needs help sometimes." Once Lyra could stand with minimal support, Jace guided her to a quiet corner of the outpost. He wanted to hear her story, to understand why she had been stranded. Lyra hesitated at first, then took a deep breath. I was transporting something," she began. "It's a piece of experimental tech. It can help farmers on planets with harsh climates, miners in difficult conditions. It's supposed to make life easier. But someone wanted it for not-so-good purposes. I think that's why my ship was attacked. Jace listened carefully. He had seen people use technology for greed before. He also knew Lyra didn't seem like someone who would hide the truth. Then we have to protect it, he said. And you. Her eyes widened slightly. You want to help me? Even knowing what's at risk? Of course, Jace said. I don't leave people behind. That's a rule I live by. They spent the afternoon resting in the outpost. Lyra explored cautiously, observing the bustling streets and the variety of people. Traders from distant planets moved goods between buildings. Children ran between their parents, laughing. Engineers worked on small vehicles and machines, tinkering with parts. The place felt alive in a way the canyon never had. Lyra noticed a pattern among the people. Many kept their distance, watching strangers carefully. It was a reminder that even here, trust was earned slowly. She felt a sense of relief with Jace by her side. If she was going to face this world, she wouldn't face it alone. But not everyone in Haven 3 was friendly. As they walked through the marketplace, a man with a long coat and a mechanical arm watched them closely. He followed them from a distance, pretending to inspect merchandise. Jace noticed him immediately. Don't worry, Jace whispered to Lyra, keeping his voice low. I see him.
Just keep moving.
Lyra nodded, her heart racing. Though she felt safer than in the canyon, she realized the world beyond it could be just as dangerous, but in a quieter, sneaky way. As evening fell, the outpost glowed with lights powered by solar panels and small fusion cells. Jace and Lyra sat by a small fountain, watching the reflection of the twin moons on the water. You're brave, Jace said softly. Most people would have given up by now. I didn't have a choice, Lyra admitted. I couldn't let them take the tech. But now I don't know what to do next. I just hope we can stay safe. You will, Jace said. We'll figure it out together. You've got brains and skill. I've got experience and, well, stubbornness. It works out. Lyra smiled, feeling warmth in her chest. It was the first time she felt truly hopeful. Suddenly, a shout came from the market square. The man with the mechanical arm had approached the central hub and tried to access the registry of travelers. Jace and Lyra watched as Kira quickly intervened, blocking him and asking questions. Jace motioned for Lyra to stay quiet. We'll see what he's after, he whispered. The man realized he had been noticed and left, walking briskly away. But Jace had already seen something important. The registry contained records of travelers carrying valuable cargo. Whoever the man was, he was not just a casual visitor. He wanted something, and it had to be Lyra's tech. We can't stay here too long, Jace said quietly. He'll try again. We need to move before nightfall. Lyra's brow furrowed. Move? Where? We just got help. We'll take a short route out of the outpost, Jace explained. There's a canyon path, I know. It's tricky, but it's safe. We can rest at a smaller outpost beyond it, and from there, we can figure out our next move. Lyra nodded, trusting him completely. She had learned in the canyon that Jace's decisions were careful and dependable. As they prepared to leave, Lyra packed her small bag of supplies. She kept a notebook close. It contained sketches and notes about the tech, her lifeline if she ever needed to rebuild it. Jace mounted his hoverbike first and held out a hand to help her onto hers. You ready? He asked. As ready as I'll ever be, she said, gripping the handles tightly. The hoverbike lifted off the ground, moving carefully along the winding paths out of Haven. The air smelled of dust, metal, and the faint aroma of cooking fires from the outpost. Jace guided the bike with steady hands, and Lyra learned quickly to trust his movements. They moved in silence for a while, the only sound the low hum of the bike and the whispering wind through the alien plants. Then Lyra spoke. Why do you care so much? I mean, you didn't know me before the canyon. Why risk so much? Jace smiled faintly, eyes on the path. Some things are just worth it. People are worth it. I've lost friends before because I walked away. Not this time. You belong with me. Lyra felt a warmth spread through her. She didn't fully understand the feeling yet, but it was comforting. For the first time since the crash, she believed someone truly had her back. As night fell, the stars emerged, a blanket of shimmering lights across the sky. The twin moons reflected faintly on the desert, guiding them along the canyon path. The shadows of the cliffs stretched long and mysterious, but with Jace leading, the path felt less threatening. Eventually they arrived at a small plateau with a natural spring. The area was quiet, safe, and perfect for resting. They dismounted, and Jace helped Lyra to a soft patch of sand. I'll keep watch, Jace said, sitting near the edge of the plateau scanning the horizon. Sleep if you can. Lyra rested, letting exhaustion take over. She knew tomorrow would bring more challenges, figuring out who was really after her tech, keeping it safe, and navigating a world full of unknown dangers. But for now, she allowed herself a moment of peace. And as she drifted to sleep, she remembered Jace's words, whispered earlier in the canyon. Never. You belong with me. It echoed in her mind like a promise, something she could hold on to no matter what came next. Tomorrow, their journey would continue. New dangers awaited, secrets would be revealed. And Lyra knew, with Jace by her side, she could face anything. The journey from the plateau to Gravity Mesa was long and treacherous. Jace led Lyra across rolling dunes, narrow ridges, and rocky gullies. The canyon they had passed the day before seemed almost peaceful in comparison. Gravity Mesa was infamous across Iridia, known for its strange gravitational fields. Rocks floated unpredictably, and even small objects would drift upward or sideways without warning. Travelers who didn't know the paths often became trapped for days, wandering in confusion. Lyra watched the terrain carefully, her mind racing. "Why are we going there?" she asked. "It sounds dangerous." Jace glanced at her, a small smile playing on his lips. "Because it's the only place they can't follow easily. Gravity shifts confuse sensors and drones alike. We can stay one step ahead there." As they approached the base of the mesa, Lyra noticed the air itself seemed to shimmer. Small pebbles floated briefly before settling. The wind shifted in odd patterns, and even their hoverbike moved in strange arcs. Jace kept his hands firm on the controls, his calm presence reassuring her. They stopped at a ledge where a narrow path led upward. Jace helped Lyra off the bike. "We'll walk from here. Stay close and follow my steps." Together, they climbed the winding path. The gravity anomalies made every step unpredictable. Sometimes their feet felt heavier, other times lighter, as if the world beneath them had changed. Lyra stumbled a few times, and Jace caught her, steadying her with a firm hand. "You okay?" he asked. "I think so," Lyra said, smiling nervously. "This place is amazing and terrifying." "You'll get used to it," Jace said. "Just don't fight it. Work with it." Hours passed as they climbed higher, the landscape below them shrinking into a colorful mosaic of red canyons and green valleys. Jace and Lyra worked together, moving carefully. Lyra began to notice patterns in the floating rocks and shifting shadows. "It's like the gravity has a rhythm," she said. "Exactly," Jace said. "Once you notice it, you can predict the moves." As they reached the top, a soft metallic hum echoed across the mesa. Lyra froze. "Do you hear that?" Jace nodded. "They're here. The Rogue AI is sending drones. They must have tracked us." From the edge of the mesa, tiny mechanical devices floated into view. They weren't threatening in a violent way, but they were clever and persistent. Small, hovering, and fast, they scanned the area, trying to locate Lyra's tech. Jace gestured toward a narrow canyon at the mesa's center. "We need to get down there. The nodes controlling the drones are hidden inside. We can disable them without fighting directly." Lyra's eyes widened. "Disable them? How?" "By thinking like them," Jace said. "They follow signals. If we can block the signals or confuse them, the drones can't touch us." They moved cautiously through the floating rocks, dodging the small drones as they zipped around. Lyra realized that the AI had placed traps, not in a violent way, but clever ones. Patterns of floating rocks and shifting gravity meant that a wrong step could leave someone stranded or confused. Jace guided her through a series of careful steps, teaching her to read the rhythms of the shifting gravity. "See that rock?" he asked. "It's going to float right, then left. Step after it moves, not before. Timing is everything." Lyra nodded and followed, gradually gaining confidence. Together, they navigated the treacherous landscape, their teamwork growing stronger with every obstacle. Finally, they reached a small plateau in the center of the mesa. Embedded in the rock were several glowing nodes, pulsing with energy, the control points for the AI drones. Lyra's eyes lit up. "That's it. I can shut them down." "Go ahead," Jay said. "I'll keep an eye on the drones while you work." Lyra knelt by the nodes, pulling out a small toolkit. Her hands moved quickly, connecting wires, inserting small devices, and following the patterns she had memorized from her ship. Each adjustment caused a subtle change in the drone's movement. They drifted more erratically, some stopping in midair before slowly descending to the ground. "Almost there," she whispered. A sudden jolt of gravity nearly threw her off balance. Jace grabbed her hand. "Careful." "Step back. Now," he warned. They adjusted their positions. The floating rocks moved with them, creating a shifting maze. Lyra concentrated, taking deep breaths. She adjusted the final node. The pulse of energy changed. One by one, the drones hovered, then slowly powered down, drifting to the ground like harmless toys. Lyra exhaled, relief washing over her.
We did it,
she said softly. Jace smiled, his pride clear. We did. But even as they celebrated, the duo noticed movement at the edge of the mesa. The rogue AI wasn't here in person, but a larger drone, shaped like a small ship, hovered above, observing their progress. Its sensors scanned them, calculating, analyzing. Lyra's eyes narrowed. It's learning. If it adapts, the drones will come back. Jace considered it, then nodded. We need to leave the mesa before it figures out our solution. Let's move. They carefully retraced their steps, descending the winding paths while keeping an eye on the larger drone. Gravity shifted unpredictably, but their teamwork and trust made every step more confident than before. Halfway down, Lyra stumbled, her foot catching on a floating rock. She whispered, panic rising, Jace, I'm slipping. Jace's hand was on hers in an instant. Never. You belong with me, he said firmly, pulling her back onto stable ground. Lyra's heart raced, but she smiled through her fear. The words were no longer just reassurance. They were a promise she believed in completely. By the time they reached the base of Gravity Mesa, the drone had stopped following. Its sensors could no longer locate them among the shifting rocks and canyons. They were safe for now. They stopped beside a small stream to rest. Lyra examined the tech she carried, making sure it was still intact. I can't believe we made it, she said. I was so sure we'd be trapped there forever. You were worried, Jace said, smiling. That's natural. But you kept your head, and you followed my lead. That's why we're okay. Lyra's smile widened. I couldn't have done it without you. You really mean it when you say I belong with you. I mean it, Jace said simply. I don't just say words. I stick to them. As the sun set, painting the desert with red and gold, Lyra and Jace sat together by the stream. The wind played gently with their hair, and for a moment everything was peaceful. No drones, no traps, no danger, just two people, sharing a quiet moment in the middle of a vast, strange world. Lyra felt a sense of strength she had never known before, not because the dangers were gone, but because she had someone she could trust completely. Someone who would never leave her behind, and as night fell, stars appearing in the clear desert sky, Lyra whispered softly, almost to herself, Never leave me? Never, he replied, echoing the promise he had made in the canyon. You belong with me. Always. The echo of the rogue AI and its drones was far away now, powerless against the bond they had formed. And though tomorrow would bring new challenges, Lyra and Jace knew they could face anything together. With the desert night wrapped around them, they settled down near the stream. Lyra allowed herself to rest fully for the first time in days. She knew the journey ahead was uncertain, but she also knew one thing with complete certainty: she was not alone. Jace stayed awake a while longer, scanning the horizon, but his mind was calm. For the first time in a long while, he felt that they were not just surviving, they were thriving. And together, nothing could stop them. As the wind whispered through the alien plants, carrying the soft hum of distant machines, the two of them sat side by side. Tomorrow, the adventure would continue. Tomorrow, new mysteries would arise. But tonight, under the twin moons of Aradia, 9, they had each other. And for now, that was enough. The desert wind of Aridia, 9 whispered softly over the canyon ridges as Jace and Lyra prepared for their next move. Gravity Mesa had been conquered, not through force, but through clever thinking, teamwork, and trust. The rogue AI's drones had been neutralized, at least for now, and the floating nodes that had controlled them were offline. Still, the air carried the faint hum of machines, reminding them that the threat was not entirely gone. We need to get to the next outpost, Jace said, checking their supplies. Heaven 4 is about a day's ride across the southern dunes. We can rest there and plan the next steps. Lyra nodded, adjusting the strap of her bag, which contained her precious tech. Do you really think it's safe? Jace smiled faintly, tipping his hat against the morning sun. Safe isn't a word I use much, but we'll make it there without trouble. Trust me. Together they mounted the hoverbike. The terrain was smoother than the jagged paths of Gravity Mesa, but the southern dunes were wide and open, leaving them exposed to sensors or curious wanderers. Lyra held tight to the seat, letting Jace guide them with practiced skill. As they rode, she marveled at the desert, Endless golden sands stretched to the horizon, interrupted only by occasional rocky outcrops. Strange flora dotted the dunes, glowing faintly under the light of Iridia, Nine's twin suns. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Yeah," Jace agreed, keeping his eyes on the path ahead. "Deserts like this, harsh, dangerous, but beautiful. Makes you feel small, but alive." Hours passed. They shared stories as the ride continued. Lyra told Jace about her childhood on distant colonies, learning engineering from her mother, while Jace spoke of travels across countless planets and how he had survived storms, sand traps, and treacherous outposts. Lyra laughed at some of his stories and gasped at others, slowly realizing that the world beyond the canyon was vast, strange, and full of surprises. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sands in red and orange, Haven 4 appeared. A small cluster of buildings nestled among rocky dunes. Unlike Haven 3, this outpost was quieter, almost serene. Farmers, engineers, and traders moved calmly along the pathways. A small fountain bubbled at the center, and solar lights blinked softly along the walkways. They landed at the edge of the outpost and dismounted. Jace helped Lyra to a bench near the fountain. "We'll rest here," he said. "Tomorrow, we can plan how to move the tech safely to the central authority. That should make it impossible for anyone to misuse it." Lyra's gaze wandered across the outpost. It was peaceful, yet she couldn't shake the memory of the drones and the rogue AI. "Do you think they'll come after us again?" she asked. "Maybe," Jace admitted, "but we've stayed one step ahead so far, and now we have a plan." As night fell, the twin moons rose, reflecting off the fountain's water and casting silver light across the outpost. Jace and Lyra sat together, sharing a quiet meal of rationed food and water. For the first time since the crash, Lyra felt a sense of normalcy, of safety, of belonging. "You know," she said, "I never thought I'd survive the canyon. And now, here I am, still carrying the tech, still moving forward." "That's because you didn't give up," Jace replied. "And because you had someone to rely on." Lyra looked at him, warmth filling her chest. "I'm glad it was you." Jace smiled, a rare softness in his gaze. "Me too. And don't worry. No matter what happens, I won't leave your side." The next morning, they met with the local administrator of Haven, for a calm and wise woman named Celine. She listened carefully as Lyra explained the nature of the tech and the threat it posed if misused. Celine nodded thoughtfully. "We can help," Celine said. "We'll store it in the central vault until the authorities can safely transport it. No one will get to it without approval." Lyra exhaled, relief washing over her. "Thank you," she said softly. "I was afraid it would be stolen again." Jace squeezed her shoulder. "It's safe now. You did your part, and so did I. And we'll make sure it stays that way." As the day went on, Lyra helped Celine organize the tech for transport, Jace observed, smiling at how skilled she was. Every movement was careful, precise, and confident. He realized how far she had come, from a stranded engineer in the canyon to someone capable of outsmarting a rogue AI. By late afternoon, the work was done. The tech was secure, packed for transfer, and protected by advanced security systems. Lyra felt a wave of accomplishment. "It's finally safe," she said, smiling. Jace nodded. "And we did it together. That's what matters." The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink, orange, and purple. Jace and Lyra stepped outside to enjoy the view. The desert stretched endlessly beyond the outpost, mysterious and inviting. "You know," Lyra said softly, "I never thought I'd see a future where I felt this free, this safe." "You have a future now," Jace said, "and we'll face it together. There are more worlds to explore, more adventures waiting. But for tonight, let's just enjoy this." They walked along the edge of the outpost, watching the twin moons rise. The quiet of the desert, the soft glow of the lights, and the gentle breeze made everything feel peaceful. Lyra realized that despite the dangers they had faced, she had learned something important. Life wasn't about avoiding challenges, but about having someone by your side while facing them. Jace noticed her contemplative silence. "Thinking about the canyon?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Yes. And about how I almost gave up. But you didn't let me. You reminded me that I belong with someone who cares." Jace smiled warmly. "And I'll keep reminding you. Always." The night deepened, and the desert sky filled with stars. Lyra felt a sense of calm and belonging she had never known before. For the first time, she wasn't just surviving, she was living. And she knew that with Jace, she could face whatever the universe had to offer. Over the next few days, the outpost became a temporary home. Lyra shared her knowledge with the engineers, helping them repair small machines and improve their farming tech. Jace explored the dunes, trading information with travelers and learning more about the planet. The pair became known in Haven 4 as the duo who had outsmarted the rogue AI and protected valuable technology without causing harm. Heroes, in a new sense. One evening, as the twin moons rose once more, Lyra and Jace stood on a small ridge overlooking the outpost. The desert stretched endlessly, full of mystery, adventure, and life. "Where to next?" Lyra asked, a spark of excitement in her eyes. Jace looked at the horizon, his hat tilted against the starlight. "Wherever the wind takes us. New worlds, new adventures, but always together." Lyra smiled, feeling the warmth of his hand as he reached for hers. "I like the sound of that." As the stars twinkled overhead, the two of them stood side by side. The journey had been long, full of uncertainty and challenge, but it had brought them together. They had faced the impossible and survived, not through violence, but through courage, intelligence, and trust. And now, the universe stretched out before them, vast and inviting. Together, they would explore it, one adventure at a time. Jace tipped his hat, looking at Lyra. "You belong with me. That won't change." "Not now, not ever." "I know," Lyra said softly. "And I'm glad I do." The desert wind carried their laughter, soft and free, across the dunes. A new frontier awaited, full of wonders and mysteries. And for the first time in a long while, both of them felt ready for anything, because whatever the universe had in store, they would face it together.